sorry too, but your wife is passed, sir.
No! God damn it!
Just call me that table. Okay. I can't say what else to do. Everybody see, I know what you see too.
This is 48-year-old Kendi Howard. Just hours earlier, she was arguing with her husband, Dan Howard, about wanting a divorce. If finalized, Kendi would have received nearly $1 million from their marital assets. But that would never happen because 4 days after this footage, officers find Kendi dead in what looks like a self-inflicted tragedy.
In my pocket. She's in the bathtub.
Yep. No heartbeat.
What police don't yet fully realize is that the scene has been meticulously staged by Dan himself. He is a former state trooper who knows exactly how to manipulate a crime scene. And even though officers find troubling clues that are suspicious, it doesn't matter, because Dan will get away with murder.
What the
Yeah,
fuck?
he's upset, but it's not real water roofs or anything.
Why does she think you killed her mom?
No, you did, didn't you? No, I didn't.
I'm just afraid he'll get away with it.
Why?
Because he is smart. You haven't caught him yet.
I'm not gonna lie, I'll make music in a closet if I have to. So I use samples because, I played.
It's the night of January 29th, and Kendi had just called the police after a heated argument with Dan over her wanting a divorce. After the welfare check that night, officers arranged for Kendi to stay with her parents, hoping it would keep her safe. But just 5 days later, Kendi left her parents' house and returned to the home she shared with Dan. That same night at 10:43 p.m., Dan called 911, reporting something that would send police racing back to the house.
911. What's the address? 911.
My wife.
What's the matter? Tell me where you're at. Okay, take a deep breath for me. Take a deep breath. Okay. Hold on for me. Okay, take a deep breath.
She shot herself?
Get somebody there. What's the number there?
Officers are dispatched immediately after the 911 call, but as soon as they arrive, they realize something is very off.
Sir? Come on out! Come on out, sir. Over here, come on. On one. Stay out here, okay? Somebody stay with him.
Sir, where is she?
Sir, upstairs in the bathroom.
Upstairs?
She's upstairs in the bathroom? Okay, upstairs in the bathroom. Let's go. Okay, gloves? In my pocket. She's in the bathtub.
No way.
Send in medical.
Got that.
Yep. Central 24/7. Send in medical. No heartbeat.
Lividity?
Not seeing anything.
Officers found 48-year-old Kendi Howard dead in the bathtub with a gunshot wound to her head. The presumed weapon, a .22 caliber pistol, was recovered from the bottom of the tub, submerged in bloody water. Officers stepped outside to deliver the tragic news to Dan.
Hey, Dan.
Hey, Dan.
Dan? Hey, Dan, I'm Deputy Wheeler. I'm sorry to inform you, but your wife is passed, sir.
No! God damn it!
Dan, I know this is hard, but when is the last time that you saw your wife alive?
Did you call 911 when you heard the gunshot?
No!
Okay.
I didn't. Oh, no. I didn't.
Well, help us out with the time frame, all right?
I didn't think it was a gunshot. I was downstairs, TV going. It sounded like something hit the floor or something. I don't know.
When was the last time you saw your wife before she went to go take a bath?
Hour and a half.
Hour and a half? An hour and a half? Okay.
Hour and a half or something. I don't know.
Okay.
I really don't know. I'm out of it.
It's about 11:15.
Maybe 9:30.
9:30 or so?
I think.
Okay.
Dan appears heartbroken, crying uncontrollably and barely able to breathe, which explains why, when asked about the timeline of events, he struggles to put together a clear account. However, officers find Dan's claim that he mistook the sound of a gunshot for something falling strange. After all, Dan was a former Idaho State Police trooper with firearms proficiency and tactical training, so it seemed unlikely that he wouldn't recognize the sound of a gunshot. But the most interesting detail officers have overlooked is that Dan actually has a violent criminal history. In 2013, after discovering Kendi had an affair with a neighbor, he confronted the man at his workplace and threatened to kill him. He later faced stalking and harassment charges, including tampering with the man's vehicles and firing shots at his house. Dan pleaded guilty, served 4 months in jail, and resigned from the Idaho State Police. This daunting information would be the first sign that Dan's claims may not be as truthful as they initially appeared. Back at the house, police continued examining the scene, and while nothing screams foul play yet, it's when they start speaking with Dan that things shift. His strange mannerisms, unconvincing sobs, and a few careless wordings make officers genuinely suspicious, hinting that his grief may be more of an act than reality.
That's what it sounded like to me.
Yeah, he's upset, but it's not real waterworks or anything. He's freaking out and like gagging, but...
Build a website you love with Wix. For your words.
This one's interesting because as I was going, we can't peg him as a suspect or anything, but, you know, us in our line, we kind of know what to do and what not to do. But it's funny that, funny how the gun's in the bathtub. Can we get fingerprints off the window? So in this case, GSR on the hands.
Well, he was asking, he was like, well, what are they doing in there? And he's like, that's a stupid question, I should know that.
Officers noticed Dan making sobbing noises and covering his face, yet no tears were ever visible. To make matters more complicated, the gun Kendi allegedly used was found submerged in the bathtub, making it impossible to confirm through DNA who pulled the trigger. And soon, officers would find more suspicious details inside the house.
And then
That's women's clothes. That's a purse.
That's a Victoria's Secret duffel bag.
And a Victoria's Secret duffel bag.
And then there's a list of stuff.
Come on, we have your...
I got you.
There's a list here of
I'm useful for
how they're
something.
going to split things.
What officers just discovered is game-changing. They find a packed duffel bag with women's clothes and divorce papers showing Kendi would have received nearly $1 million if the split went through. It looked like she was ready to leave, but instead, she turned up dead under circumstances that appeared self-inflicted. But what officers discovered next would take that suspicion to a whole new level.
No. Sounds like another water temp.
It feels like it might still be a little warm.
Well, a little warm, because people don't take warm baths. They take hot baths.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting to know the temp of that water now, because it's going to change later.
Well, and the bubbles are still... So it's kind of looks like it's fairly fresh.
And you got the bubbles and all that stuff in your pictures.
Yeah, because the bubbles are still... They're popping right now.
Dan claims that Kendi went to the bathroom about an hour and a half to 2 hours earlier, but by that time, the bubbles should have already disappeared. This suggested that the bathtub had been filled recently, contradicting Dan's timeline. Additionally, there is almost no blood in the water despite a point-blank gunshot wound, the dryer running with freshly washed items, and no clothes anywhere in the bathroom or bedroom. If Kendi had walked into that tub, she would have had...
she would have had the clothes in the bathroom. That's why them niggas is cops and I ain't. Cause them niggas, you see all that shit they caught, nigga?
To cross the house naked, something that made no sense for a woman planning a divorce. Taken together, these
That's what I'm
details
saying,
made
like-
officers not just suspicious anymore, they now had enough reason to doubt Dan's story, and it was time to put him under pressure. Dan was brought back into the house to wait for detectives, and it didn't take long for his behavior to grow even more unusual.
I'll have a chat.
You asked me who I needed here.
Hold on. Here's the deal. Okay.
Well, tell me what the deal is, man. The deal is.
Okay,
Oh,
then
good.
you're gonna listen to what
Damn
we
it.
say, all right? Right now, this is a crime scene. We don't want anybody that's not here to come. If he wants to park down the street and sit in his car until he's allowed to come in, that's fine. He just can't come into the house.
Tell him that when he gets here.
I will.
Please.
I have no problem with it.
How pathetic am I, man?
What's that?
How pathetic am I?
Not at all, sir. I can't imagine. I can't imagine what you're going through right now.
Can I get a drink of water?
Hey, you just can't wash your hands.
Yeah.
Okay. Can I get the boys a cup of coffee?
Oh,
I
we're okay.
appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
I got an entire thermos that I'm sure I'll make it through by end of shift.
All right.
Thank you very much, though.
Thanks a lot, officer.
I don't want to be the total asshole.
Officers noticed Dan's dramatic mood swings. One minute, he was distraught, covering his face, and the next, he was calmly offering deputies coffee. His self-pity seemed more focused on himself than on the tragedy of his wife's death. These shifts could be signs of over-control slipping. A man trying to manage impressions only for stress to reveal sudden lapses into irritation or inappropriate normalcy. Finally, the detectives arrived and Dan's questioning began.
You want to have a seat at the bar or something where we can have something flat to ride on here?
Go ahead.
No, I mean, would you mind coming over? So, what was going on tonight?
I have marital problems.
Mm-hmm.
And she.
This nigga's a former cop, keep in mind, so this nigga really know what the fuck he doing, like, doing it throughout. I don't know how long he was in the force, but shit, he was probably in there long enough.
She realized that the house has to be liquidated too. She went upstairs and she always takes a bath before bed. So I heard the bath running and I heard something hit the floor, I guess. Didn't sound like a shot. I didn't think it was a shot. Was down there watching TV, drank a beer, looked at my list, trying to think, you know, I don't know, I guess I lost track of time. But I come upstairs.
Fed up with cookie-cutter design templates that have no personality? Kittle gives you everything. Templates in any style. A wide variety
Let me know how y'all feel about this so far, man.
Like, is this divorce has already been decided, or is it?
No,
it's open for discussion.
Not her. Yeah. She wants a divorce one day, she doesn't the next. She brought home divorce papers, just preliminary ones.
Was this the night we got called out here?
No, I don't know if she had them then. First, it was okay, and then and it wasn't. And she didn't like the idea of liquidating the house down there.
Kendi had a boyfriend and planned to move in with him. She had already put down a deposit on a house for them. He claimed that Kendi didn't want to split the new house with him in the divorce and hoped to keep it for herself. Since the down payment had been made while they were still married, the house was considered a marital asset. However, this didn't make sense if she had taken her own life. In fact, it suggested she was looking forward to the future and was ready to move on.
Yeah,
Detectives asked Dan about the gun and how Kendi obtained it, but he quickly steered the conversation towards something that would support his version of events instead.
Okay.
Where'd the gun come from?
I bought that for her years ago. And I had it in my safe till Sunday. We had the, most of the list done. And we finished it tonight. But on the list, she's gonna let me have my safe and guns. And she'd pick something, and I'd pick something. And one of the things she wanted was her gun. So I went and got her gun.
And put it where? When was that?
I think I just put it on the counter here. We were up here. He's downstairs here. This is when we had our first problems. And she's upstairs with that gun. We were having problems, and I told her, I said, I can't work out. She had it on her hand. She put it up to her head. She freaked me. And I thought for sure, here we go. And dropped the gun, shot through the floor. I shot through the floor and hit the tile by the wood stove. And so I repaired some things downstairs. I took the gun away.
Same gun?
Same gun.
Did she ever make any statements that had you concerned about her well-being?
Yeah, about every day. Well, she's so emotional. She tells us, well, we should split up. And I agree with her. And then she'd go the other way.
How long has this been going on?
This hitch, last hitch, we're pretty distant, I knew something was up, but...
Last month, then?
Yeah, whatever that turned out to be.
The detectives pressed further, asking if Kendi had been cheating on him again. They were aware of the 2013 incident with the neighbor and used these questions to probe for any hidden motives that might point to Dan as the suspect, a way to tie him to the crime.
You suspect she was cheating on you again?
I asked her that. I asked her that to give me closure, because, that would be it. She said she hadn't been.
You believe it?
Man, her behavior, I don't know. It just doesn't add up. Okay?
Did she ever talk about wanting a divorce last time?
No.
She did, didn't she?
I left. And then, she asked for me back, and I did. I came back.
By now, they were growing more suspicious of Dan, but they still didn't have enough to prove his guilt. It seemed like for every question they asked, he had an answer ready. So detectives pressed forward, relying on his cooperation so far and hoping he wouldn't request an attorney.
We could understand some of our concerns here. You guys are going through a tough time. Someone ends up deceased. There's only two possible reasons, you understand? Not accusing of anything, we just got to take a look at everything.
I never touched her.
Yeah, sit down for me for a second. I mean, I don't have to tell you. You've been in this job long enough. You know as well as we do. So I'm gonna point out, ask you. Did you shoot your wife?
No. This conversation's going to be over if we keep the line up.
We gotta ask the question.
Yeah, you know as well as we do.
Dan outright denied any involvement in Kendi's death, but detectives were growing increasingly convinced he had a role. There were just too many things that didn't add up. The packed duffel bag, the freshly filled bath, Dan's odd behavior, his criminal past, and most importantly, Kendi's worrying claims from days earlier. Even so, they had no conclusive evidence to hold him accountable until Dan requested to call his and Kendi's children to inform them of their mother's passing. But that phone call wouldn't go the way Dan expected, and for the detectives, it would change everything.
Creating custom clothing labels with Tap Stitch is easy. Go to your branding tab, choose your label size and background, upload your artwork, submit for review, and done.
Man, oh man. Where she shot the hole in the floor. On that hole. They are here. What do you mean you don't hear them? They're right here. What? What are you talking about? Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Oh. No. I'm not saying you are. I told her we're liquidating the houses, both of them. And, okay.
Dan's stepdaughter immediately accused him of Kendi's death, a detail that caught detectives' attention. It was especially concerning because if Dan were truly innocent, it would have been so unusual for her to start blaming him so directly. So detectives used that opportunity to directly confront him.
She just accused you of this? No. That's what it sounded like.
Caught her there.
Why would she do that, Dan? Why would she think you did this?
I don't know if she does.
Dan, I was across the room and I could hear her.
Oh, I know.
She's angry.
Why would you think you did this?
What in the world would give her that impression?
There's no way in the world she believed you, Mom. Would want to believe their moms would do that.
Well, they also don't want to believe that their dad would do it.
Yeah.
So why would she? I haven't heard somebody that angry in a long time.
She's emotional.
I'll be honest with you, I was not expecting anything like that.
Me neither.
Dan, think you killed your wife?
I have no idea.
Because I gotta tell you, that phone call put chills down my spine. You did it, didn't you, Dan?
No, I didn't.
I didn't think so, but now, after listening to that, I think you did, didn't you?
How the hell? She doesn't know. She wasn't here. She knows what.
Well, what does
she knows that there's a divorce going on?
What does she know? She knows something. She wouldn't have reacted the way she did.
Well, I don't know what it is.
She obviously had concerns if that was her knee jerk.
Okay. Well.
You understand where we're coming from?
Because I have talked to my daughter about that. You think all you want.
I think you did.
No, I didn't.
Despite detectives' pressure, Dan didn't budge, insisting he had nothing to do with Kendi's death. And at the time, they lacked the evidence to prove otherwise. He seemed to have covered his tracks meticulously, and for now, he remained free. Complicating matters, the coroner's exam found nothing pointing to homicide. With no immediate proof, detectives began a long, methodical investigation. Knowing they had to build the case from the ground up, they obtained a search warrant and collected evidence from the scene, noting suspicious clues like the running dryer, the lack of blood, and Dan's odd demeanor. Still, the scene resembled a possible suicide. Most importantly, they couldn't arrest Dan due to the lack of immediate probable cause. Without autopsy results, forensic evidence, or witness testimonies, arresting him prematurely would risk the case falling apart in court. Dan's claims, including his insistence that Kendi had been suicidal, needed to be disproven. The only ones who could help them challenge these claims were Kendi's children. So detectives brought them in for interviews, hoping to use their statements against Dan later on. What they didn't anticipate was that one of the kids would have a very different perspective on what happened that night.
So, when we talked the other day, I guess today, what do you think? What are your thoughts? What do you think happened?
I know he shot her. I know. I don't feel like there's probably going to be anything to prove that. I know how he is. He would have thought that out. I feel like he probably was going to do that Friday, and when she woke up, he didn't have his chance that he wanted, and she went back home, and she shouldn't have went back home. Yeah.
Would it be normal? I mean, if she, if we wanted to flip out over this house, to go upstairs, undress, somehow make it from the bedroom to the bathroom naked, because there's no clothing in the bathroom.
That's not super weird.
Right.
No.
Okay.
She takes a bath almost every night. It's odd for her to not take a bath. That would be weird.
Okay. pour a bubble bath, not just a bath, but take time, put bubbles in it. Put her hair up so her hair doesn't get wet.
No, that's also normal. She
Okay.
hated. She didn't want her hair wet ever in a bath.
And then get in the bathtub and commit. Would she?
There's a problem with that, and it's what bugs me the most. I've thought about it several times. She's getting her done and her done. She obviously has a little bit of issues with how her body looks. There's no way in hell she'd be okay with people finding her naked.
Kendi's daughter was fully convinced that Dan had killed her mother, although everything about that night seemed to align with how things normally went.
Even if she was to even do this, she would not get on the. She would not get in there naked. She would have had clothes on and just did it immediately. Just had her wet clothes on. That's not. That sucks. That's the only thing that's different in this whole shit, and that's a possibility. If she was to do this herself, she would have clothes on. That's the only, like, that's crazy, bro.
Daughter knew something was off. Even with everything seeming as normal as it could have been, Kendi's daughter was certain Dan was responsible for her mother's death. Meanwhile, when detectives interviewed Kendi and Dan's son, they were surprised by his reaction, because unlike his sister, he believed his father was completely innocent.
She was on the phone talking with people right up near the end.
That she talked to you before? Yeah.
And there was nothing mentioned, about being depressed. In fact, it was the opposite.
Yeah.
So that seems a little odd.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think he did it. She wrote a will on Friday when she was down there. I don't know if you guys heard that yet or anything. That's what her told me. I was like, she packed a bag, left, and then came back the next day, even though she was super scared. And she wrote a will that day, though. That's almost like, it doesn't make sense to me. It's like, why would you go down there for a day, write a will, come back to someone that you're scared, that you're deathly afraid of, with a will in your hand there?
After the interviews and evidence collection, a few key details stood out in Dan's favor. Details that carried heavy legal weight. Kendi's will seemed to support his claim that her death was a suicide. With no concrete evidence, Dan wasn't charged. For nearly 2 years, he lived as if nothing had happened, believing he had gotten away with murder. But investigators, convinced he was involved, kept working day and night to find something that would finally tie him to the crime. That's when they made their breakthrough.
Oh, snap.
Investigators realized that Kendi had likely been killed before the gunshot was even fired. Experts reviewing the autopsy confirms that the angle of her wound was inconsistent with a self-inflicted shot, as it was slightly downward, suggesting someone else had pulled the trigger. She was already dead by the time the gun went off, which explained the unusual lack of blood in the bathtub. Adding to the suspicion, investigators noted that the dryer had been started about a minute after Dan's 911 call, an apparent attempt to destroy evidence. There was no escaping the evidence. Dan's time was up. Dan was arrested in 2023, and his trial began in 2024. The trial lasted about 2 weeks, during which 62 witnesses testified. After 8 hours of deliberation, the jury
62? Nigga, damn.
Jury returned with a guilty verdict, ensuring that Dan would be held accountable for Kendi's tragic death. Dan killed Kendi because he couldn't bear to lose her and their shared wealth. Her desire to leave him, along with the possibility of losing everything, pushed him to commit murder instead of letting her go. Dan Howard was found guilty of second-degree murder in the killing of Kendi Howard, as well as the related domestic battery charge. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole for the murder, with an additional 10-year sentence for the domestic battery charge. This ensured that he would spend the rest of his life behind bars, never able to harm anyone again.
Bro, that was insane.